When it comes to living life, there's a lot to overthink, but I don't ever have to overthink my water. I've been drinking Smart Water for years and truly love its pure, crisp taste. It's vapor distilled through a process inspired by clouds. I love chic branding, and Smart Water's sleek bottle shape makes it the perfect accessory for any day bag, workout tote, or backpack. Smart Water is the smart way to hydrate no matter what you have going on in your life. Life is full of choices. Smart Water is a simple one. Visit drinksmartwater.com to learn more.
When you work in tech at Cox, you get to do meaningful work every day. You get to be the biker who codes as fast as he rides, crafting advanced tech solutions that transform car buying, or a guitarist who develops harmonious apps and websites, connecting people to people and businesses, all in real time. A savvy soccer mom running solution sets as passionately as she runs gameplays. Be the super secret keeper, designing cybersecurity systems to protect private data and websites. A planet protector, expanding EV battery life and inventing more ways to build a better future for all. When you work in tech at Cox, you get to do career-defining work that solves the greatest problems of our time. Join us and connect to work that improves lives, including yours. Learn more about our family of businesses at cox.career/tech.
Welcome back to Climbing in Heels. From all of us to all of you, we hope you had a very happy and healthy holiday, and cheers to the new year. Please enjoy this episode. It's one of my absolute all-time favorites, and we'll be back in the new year with more episodes of Climbing in Heels.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Zoe, and you're listening to Climbing in Heels. This show is all about celebrating the most extraordinary superwomen who will be sharing their incredible journeys to the top, all while staying glamorous. Today with me, we have someone very exciting, a legend, an icon, a woman who actually has been working since she was 11 months old. I'm pretty sure every day since. She's an actress, a model, a mother, an author, a comedian. The list goes on, and I'm lucky enough to call her a friend for many, many years. Everyone, please welcome the amazing Brooke Shields. So everyone knows, okay, Brooke Shields. Like, she's like, because people that know you now, right, that meet you later in your life, they're like, well, she's just this amazing force. She's so strong. She's so gorgeous. She's so incredible. She's a mom. She's this, she's that. But you have had a freaking life. Like, I don't even know how else to say it, but you have lived life. I feel like I've lived life. You have lived life. I have known you for probably more than half my life, which is really amazing. And one of the funniest things I remember is the first time I ever worked with you on a shoot. I remember we had such a laugh because we didn't have the right shoe. We had like 600 pairs of shoes, but not the right shoe. And you and I are like the same shoe size, which is the funniest thing ever. So I ended up using from like my personal archives, you ended up putting on my shoes, and you looked at me and you go, why is your foot the same size? That's mine. And I was like, yeah, this is the hell that I live.
I could hold you like a baby.
A friend of mine calls me a Polly Pocket. I'm like, what is a Polly Pocket? I'm like,
I used to love Polly Pockets. Well, no, and actually that was always a big problem, having such small feet and being my size. I've had 4 corrective surgeries. I've got pins. I've got staples. I am held together by titanium. And it's because you try being my size on these little baby feet. It just doesn't make any sense.
Love you. I mean, it's hard to like fit your life into, a 30, 40-minute podcast. But I think for me, there's so many things to highlight and talk about you. But I think one of the things I really want to touch on is that you started working basically from birth.
I was 11 months old.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how much I had to say about it.
Clearly.
But mom, this is my vocation. But it was one of those, it was an era, it was in 66. And it was, I don't know, a single mom. And she was fabulous and sort of this single mom living in New York City, which is unheard of at the time. And she was friends with photographers and artists and makeup artists. And that was her scene, and she was a woman who had gams, and lots of her friends were creatives. And then she had this baby, and somebody said, hey, that kid should model. And she didn't really take it that seriously. Of course, every mom thinks they have the most beautiful baby in the world. And we all do. And then Scavullo called her and said, hey, Terry, the client doesn't like any of the babies that they've got for this ivory soap ad. Will you bring the baby into the studio? And, I had my nap at that point and all these kids were miserable and screaming. And I looked the part and they said, does she know how to kiss? And my mom was like, probably one of the first things, she taught me is, doing this with your face. And so, see, I was an influencer then.
So actually, you were the original. Now. You were actually the very first influencer. I actually am going to go
duck face. The kissy face was me at 11 months old. And then we got paid. And here my mom was like, listen, we'll get paid for this. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And it just
snowballed.
Kept going.
Yeah.
It snowballed and then it's more peaks and valleys, but I will say that something was continuously happening, whether it was good or bad.
Right.
For the next, 56 years.
Casual. Just, like for the next, they're going to be like for the next like few years. And then I became a teenager. I think the question I have for you, because clearly you still work so hard, you're still obviously very visible. And so I guess my question is because, I've had a similar thing since my kids were born of like, oh, put those boys in front of the camera, put those boys, and again, like your mom, those are my people, right? Like that's what I'm around. I've been on set for my entire adult life, right? But again, not as a child, as the mom, right? And so I think the question is, so you grew up around it. You probably were just adored beyond. But I think the real question becomes like when you were old enough, and I don't know at what age that was for you, but to sort of have your voice and say your voice, were you like, I love working, I want to keep doing this and I love this? Or were you like, hey, I want to be a kid, I want to take a pause?
No, it was much more seamless than that. I had so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
And I went to regular schools.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you. Right.
It was like, it was a sport for me. When other kids were playing soccer or doing whatever, I was going to photo shoots, but it afforded us really fun experiences. Even when I was a little kid, like we would, we would be doing catalogs, it'd be Gimbals or Alexander's or something. And they would put us all in a big Winnebago and we'd go to the Catskills or whatever. And we would have to have fun. In these places, but showing off the clothes. Yeah. And then, we got stuff from it.
Right.
We got to move to a nicer apartment.
Yeah, of course.
I got to go to a good school and, we bought a Jeep. And so it was all sort of very hand to mouth. But my mom always had me stay in New York.
Yeah.
Never went to professional children's schools.
Yeah.
So although it was very visible, it wasn't the primary focus in my life,
which is important,
which was, I think, extremely grounding.
Yes.
It wasn't until you talk about having agency or having your own voice. And I mean, I'm ashamed to say, but a lot of it I just recently discovered. I sort of found a lot when I had my kids.
Yeah.
And then, but being in this industry for so long, you don't have to learn how to have an opinion.
Right.
As long as you're behaving, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
It certainly doesn't matter to anybody else.
Right, of course.
But, you get approved of, so you sort of go like, oh, well, I don't even have to know how I feel about this because everybody likes me and I'm working, doing it. and it's all fine. It's like I said to you that unbelievable day when you went into the abomination that was my closet, and you were like, huh, okay. And I was like, well, do you know anybody who can like go through clothes? And you were like, that's what I do. And
I remember that.
but I said to you, you were like, well, what do you envision? What's your style? And I was stumped.
Yeah.
I had no answer for you, because that's not what I did.
Yeah.
I wore my top side was my jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I took everything off, put their clothes on,
Yep.
went through the number of poses, put my clothes back on, and that was it. I never cultivated a style. I didn't even know who. All my stuff came from thrift shops before it was cool.
So you actually coined the term without knowing it, model off duty. You've heard that, right?
I have.
It's one of my favorite things because I always use the term model off duty for these superhuman beings, beauties from another planet that just can throw on like a tank and jeans and sneakers and wet hair. But here's what's so interesting. So the way you speak about the model industry, because that's how I grew up in the modeling industry. I was there on set, like kind of screaming a voice for the models. I would sort of be like, she needs a break. Are you hungry? I would like go over with bananas and try and feed them on set, like at a turn, like in between shots. And everyone was like,
models love to eat while shooting.
Like, they just look so hungry. And I was like, and the photographers were like, she's fine. But what I'm noticing, and I'm so curious to know your thoughts on this, it's so different now in the best way, meaning the girls do have a voice. And the girls do say a lot, and the girls do, I don't know. That's just like, I feel like now when I look at like Bella and Gigi and so many of these amazing girls, it's almost like they are who they are, and then modeling is their job.
Right. Which is really refreshing. It's interesting. Yes, I do have one daughter that is interested in it, and I fought it and kicked and screamed and just didn't, and she finally sort of said, you're not helping me. And I said, it's not that I'm not helping you. It's that the industry is so different now than it was. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I have the bandwidth to protect you the way my mother protected me. Right. And I never did runway. So they're talking about putting you in this show or that show or whatever. And I'm like, to me, it sounds like a nightmare because I just picture models eating cotton balls to lose weight and be full. And I never knew that part of it because I did the editorial. Yep. So I never did the runway. And I mean, have never fit into a sample size or a runway size ever. I mean, my hands are like man hands, I'm the bigger girl. I was always the healthy girl,
Which is so crazy.
And then also it was a lot of my neck up.
Right.
I was the face of this or that or whatever. Right. So and I said to her, honey, I can try opening a door. I can introduce you to people. I can, an agency is going to take my call. Yes, that's the way I will help you. But we need more understanding about what this industry is first. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, she's like, but you're my mom. I said, don't get that confused.
Right.
I'm called an icon, whatever the hell it means. It feels like I should be dead, but I'm whatever it is that people say I am.
Yes, you are that. And all of that. Okay. I know you shouldn't be dead.
But that doesn't necessarily translate into anything in this young girl's life, and that's what kids think today.
Yes.
They think fame is, and yes, to a certain extent, it is power. I see that, but it's not all there is, it's not really valued it can also just be nothing.
But it could also hurt you. It could also go against. That's the thing.
Right. And I said, so you're going to school, you're nurturing that, you're playing volleyball, which she's loving, which is great. And she plays basketball. And I said, these are the things you have to constantly nurture. All the while, let's try to go forward with this in a healthy way. She's been surprised because, it hurts the boning of this, clothes and dresses sticking into my ribs. And I'm like, okay, so what? Well, I'm tired. Well, I don't care. Nobody cares that you're tired.
Nobody.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Nobody cares you're uncomfortable. Nobody cares if you're tired. They don't want to know your opinion, and so that's one side of it. Right. But the other side is this Now they have to do B-roll. Now they have to do interviews. Now they have to speak.
So much
You know,
more complex now.
And I didn't have to do any of that. I
No.
just showed up, looked a
Nor
certain
did they
way,
want
and-
you to.
No, they did not want me to have any other personality.
But okay, so this is interesting because then you went on to your life, right? And
Mhm.
you have a strong voice. And one of the things I've loved most about knowing you is how honest and candid you are about yourself. And listen, I'm very self-deprecating. I take humor in myself. I criticize. I am so hyper aware of my strengths, my weakness, and I'm so fine with it. That's the thing. And I think that for you, you're such a great example of someone who was raised by obviously a very strong mother, I think a single mother. And that seems to very interestingly be a very common thread in a lot of the women that I've had on. And I think part of that is, as hard as that may be as a child, I think it really, really sets an example of how to kind of be a survivor and how to kind of work really hard in your life, right? I mean, would you say you kind of...
Absolutely. I mean, my husband and I, though, we just spoke at my older daughter's school,
Mhm.
and she was so blown away because she hadn't ever really seen us in action, you know, talking about our profession and talking about what we do and how we approach things and with humor and seeing me start beginning is now my own company where I am. It's a startup is impossible.
Oh my God.
You know?
Oh my
And
God.
it's terrifying and it's costly and it's all these things and it's a new language, but she's seeing me do something that terrifies me, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And that's, for a female, I think it's important, that it's not, unfortunately, we have to hustle all the time. We have to do it. We have to do twice as much.
10x. Because you add, and I know you're a very hands-on mother. And I think that in and of itself, being a CEO of your house is actually the hardest job of all.
It's the least appreciated.
Especially if you have daughters.
And the way
I'm
people
one of
treat
two
you.
daughters. So yes.
The way people treat you,
I know.
you would not accept in any other environment.
By the way,
If I went on to set and I went like to my director, like if the director asked me to do something, I was like, what? I'd be fired.
That's true. Wait, it's so funny because a very dear friend of mine, he's a very successful producer, director. And he has four daughters, and a wife, happily married.
Ooh.
And he said, I come home, I get my ass kicked. He's like, I go to work and I'm like the king. He's like,
Right.
because I'm always like, how do you keep it real? He's like, oh, I don't have any issues keeping it real. I just have to walk into my house and surrender. So but I think that's the best. It's just the best. We wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, another thing my younger daughter said to me, because I was so just so terrified of all this. And she said, Mom, I need you to trust me. She said, you are the most normal, down-to-earth, famous person that I've ever seen. And I was like, what? And it just, I never thought that she even knew that I was
that anyone knew your name besides her.
Well, you know what?
Yes,
it's a weird thing because they're so unimpressed from morning till night that you think, oh, maybe they don't know that I've done some things in my life,
So true.
And she's like, Mom, you've taught me. Now you have to let me do what you taught me.
Aww.
And it blew me away.
For her to have that epiphany and for her to say it in that way, I think not only is it a lot for her to say that, but I think it's even more so for you to hear that. And also for you to be like, maybe I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like those moments you're like, wait, I didn't totally fuck this up. Right.
Yeah. I didn't totally, they're not going to, they'll probably still write a book, but about me. But my older one said to me, she said, Mom, I just love that I can tell you anything and
Yeah.
you don't judge me.
Yeah.
She said, thank you for that.
Oh,
I mean, I'm living off that one for
hold
a
it.
decade.
Hold
I
on to
mean,
that. Hold on to that.
because it's, it's what I try to do. And I said,
course.
I have lived in judgment since the time I probably came out of the womb. I'm always the subject of an opinion.
Yeah.
People have an opinion. They have a lot to say about me. They
Yeah.
want, and they feel the need to say it, and the press and the whole thing, right? So it's, you grow up with that. And I said, I don't ever want my daughters to not sort of forage through their own opinions
Yeah.
of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing to do.
Okay. I need to talk about this because you've written multiple books. Some people write songs. Some people write books, right?
Yeah.
Some people just go to therapy. And some people hold it in and then it comes out later. So, but I think that you've just given back so much, I think, to women in general. I think that your candor and ability to talk about things that other people have not been able to talk about, from like postpartum depression, the industry. I mean, I think 70% of my friends have suffered from postpartum and didn't know it, didn't talk about it. Their husbands didn't notice. I would notice because they would say to me, like, this is freaking me out. I don't like, just little things that they would say as I was like, wouldn't let go of my baby because I was like, oh my God, I've never loved anything so much in my life. And I don't know what to do now because I don't know how to get back into my life. I don't know. I think the thing that I've always known about you and loved about you is that you are as real as they come. And I think, to your point, a lot of that is probably growing up working. And I also want to give a little bit of credit here for the fact that you did go to Princeton. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Education obviously is so important to you. And I think now you're starting a new company.
It's called Beginning Is Now.
Okay.
And the way I help people remember it is BIN. Think of all the stuff in your life you don't want anymore, and you throw in the bin and you get rid of it and you start again and you have new chapters. And going to university, though, was my savior, because it gave me the one thing that could not be chipped away at by this industry, could not be taken away. It could not be argued.
Yeah.
You can't argue that you got a degree because you had to do the work.
Yeah.
I mean,
you cannot fake that.
You can't. And you keep and especially with an institution like that. I mean, especially at the time, they couldn't afford to do anything but be really tough on me, because they too had to prove that they weren't giving me a free ride. So it was doubly hard. And I just sort of took it as a big sort of, I was flipping the world off, going, really? Well, look at this. Try to take this away from me.
Sure.
And you can't. So I think that was they're formative years.
Yeah.
I needed to grow in experience. I needed to learn how to live on my own. Had never done that before. I'd never left my mother. So there's just life experience and pitfalls and being afraid and picking yourself up and, failing and then going, oh God, now what do I do? And then doing, studying harder. And so I think that just gave me time that if I didn't have it, I don't think I'd have any type of a foundation. Why I started Beginning Is Now is because the minute you hit, forget it. When I hit, I'm 57, but when I hit in my 40s, my kids are grown and I'm not marketed to. I'm told I'm done.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
No. I now am more of who I am than I've ever been. I've raised these kids. I have a healthy relationship. I have done all those things. And now I'm ready to start again. Yeah. And okay, I'm not the ingenue. Yes, I wish things were a little higher like they used to be, but I don't want to be back there.
Right.
I want all this experience and this more fully formed person. Now I'm ready to see what's next for me. And I'm looking forward. And I think it is changing a bit in the industry, but even in the industry, it's sort of the 20 somethings and then God bless us if I can even be near Helen Mirren, but there's just this
Huge
bracket in the middle that have just, these women are fabulous.
Yeah.
And I want to change that. I talk to women all the time and they think they're over. They think they're done.
Many industries do dictate that. They do. And if they don't say it, you feel it, right?
Your value, your currency all of
Sure.
a sudden changes the minute your ovaries aren't, making the population more. I see it around me. And it's the same thing that I noticed with postpartum. It's that you start talking about it and people say, oh my God, yes. Oh, but if you feel that way, oh my God, you can imagine how I feel and we feel. And this community is just built so quickly. And it's a community that wants to tell the truth and talk about this stuff and get excited about the next chapter in our life rather than think, oh, we're all dried up and wrinkly and we've got nothing left to give. And, and so I started Beginning Is Now. And now we're in the process of, going out to get financing, which is a completely
oh my God
devastating endeavor for me. It is.
It's not easy. It's honestly one of the biggest challenges of starting a business is actually raising money, because you have to get in the room and stare at people and tell them why they have to give you money, because this is going to work because.
Exactly. And if you've not sold anything yet, they want to know what you've sold. And you're like, no, this is the point. Yeah. I'm here so that I can make something to sell. But I'm doing it and it's all ready. I speak at these conferences now and we do these sort of moderated talks based on all of, what the community is asking for. And it's unbelievably moving to see what community does and how we need each other to lift each other up. Yes. We're not, this is not, there's no catty, petty, anything. This is women really being what women are capable of.
100%.
And loving the men in our lives or loving the partners or being, whatever it is, just the positivity of that there's more.
Well, I've seen a lot of friends in the industry, to your point, I've seen a lot quit acting. They just quit. Yeah. They said, if I get offered one more role to be somebody's like washed up mother or like divorced, whatever, why can't I be like the lead anymore? Like, why can't I, and enough happened where they stopped. And some of them have gone back for like, if it really made sense for them. But I mean, you're still acting.
I sort of am. It's all I really, oh God, I love comedy so much. It's, to me, my dream is to do another, sitcom or another half hour or something, just because you're makes
so
me the
good
happiest.
At it. You're so good at it.
I love it so much. Thank you. And it's so comfortable for me.
Which is so funny. No pun intended, but it's funny that that's comfortable for you, because comedy, I think a lot of people don't realize, and I only know it just because I've worked with so many actors and comedians, and being funny is actually the hardest part of acting, in my opinion. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's timing. There's so much of it.
Everything. It's so nuanced. And it's interesting because sometimes the broader the comedy, the more nuanced it is. Yeah. And I've seen when I was doing Suddenly Susan, we got great guest stars all the time. And these, actresses and actors would come in that were these brilliant performers. And I was like, wow, they're not getting the they're not getting the beats. They're not like, and they're brilliant. Yeah. And I thought, wow, the choreography of comedy is what I find fascinating. And when you're a second too early, you miss it.
It's true.
A half a second too late, you miss it. And then when you're on it and it's in the pocket, it's sort of like this otherworldly experience. It's sometimes I won't even remember what I did because you're so in the moment of it. Like good choreography, like a beautiful dance number. You rehearse, and then you have to forget all of it, and just your body has to take over. And I parallel the two often. And just the musicality of comedy, but anyway, I've been lucky enough to sort of enter into this genre of feel good movies, rom-coms,
which we need so badly.
they're not edgy. I'm not
Doesn't matter.
edgy or sexy or whatever, but there is such an appeal to me. And when you see how that just the respite that these movies, I used to think if I wasn't suffering, it meant I wasn't a good actress, and I have to be suffering and in drama all the time. And therefore I'll be valid, and because nobody values comedy or comic actresses, and I've just given all that stupid judgment up because
Isn't that funny?
I find such joy.
I am telling you, I am the target. I'm telling you, I cannot and will not watch a movie that does not remove me from life. Life is hard enough, right?
Exactly.
When we watch a movie or a TV show, why can't we be accepting of the fact we want to remove our brains, have an escape, and just feel really good? And like, my husband makes so much fun of me because I watched, like, we just flew to New York and I was watching like Made in Manhattan for like the 800th time. And I was working while I was watching it. And he was like, seriously? And I'm like, and he had some dark, like, whatever movie on. And I was like, I don't, that's not going to work for me.
Meets Dark Knight, and I'm just like,
no, like, lose me in Bridgerton, lose me in, like, let me just go there. Let me just, like,
it's a vacation of it's a psychological vacation. And
that's exactly right.
You don't even have to, they're probably going to get back together in the end. There's probably going to be a dog.
I'm mad. I'm mad. I want the happy ending.
Dog's probably going to bring the slipper. And there's going to, and you sort of just sit there going like, okay, but why is this so pleasurable to me? So, as long as I'm, and luckily, I'm working in this sort of, this with a woman I know who is my boss basically at Netflix, and that those are the stories she wants to tell. She wants to tell stories of women over 40 who actually have a life and can be attractive and can have romance and
lots
and can
of it.
Have family and can and that that's been missing. And so it's I used to be the ingenue and the young one, but there's still more stories to tell.
Sure. Thank God. I'm just so,
and I'm feel lucky.
And I still want to see you. And I don't want you to go away. So, I think you have a lot to say. And I think there's a lot of people that need to hear your voice. And I know you have a podcast coming out called.
I do. I don't know if people need to hear my voice, but I do think that there needs to be somebody who is at least telling other people's stories.
Yes.
I'm not the expert in anything.
I'm
not going to tell you how to live your life at all, but exactly. And but that's a lot of people think they walk on water, and I'm just treading water, and I've been doing it since I was born. And so
literally,
but what I have, but what I have, but what I have seen is enough to at least share the experiences. Right. And I pitched this podcast because there's stories that I've always been interested in hearing. And it stemmed from something my mom would say to me. I mean, the irony is that I thought she was a genius. Turns out she was just quoting a song, but she let me think she invented the words. And it's just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, start all over again.
Yes.
And I was like, she's a genius. And then I heard it like Frank Sinatra or something. And I was like, oh, she let me believe that. Okay. But
it is true.
What is it that makes people go through experiences and not let them define them? What are the people, anybody, you could take the most successful person in the world. You can take a person no one's ever heard of. They've all failed, fallen, been scared, didn't get that thing, had a loss, had an injury, had something that stopped them in their tracks. And what did they do at that moment? What did they decide? Who did they decide they were?
Yeah.
And I was in this hospital bed for a month, and
we didn't even touch on
visit
that.
Me. I broke my femur. It was in a stupid, balance thing, and I flew up off of it, and I just went really high and landed just perfectly solidly on my hip and it broke my femur in two. And
This was very recent.
yeah, it's a year now, a little over a year. And
When it comes to living life, there's a lot to overthink. Like most working moms, I am constantly juggling my work and my family life, and sometimes all that decision making is truly exhausting. But at least I don't ever have to overthink my water. I've been drinking Smart Water for many, many years and truly love its pure, crisp taste. It's vapor distilled through a process inspired by clouds and has added electrolytes for taste. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, every morning, is head down to my kitchen to drink water. Hydrating with Smart Water is my favorite way to start the day, and making that simple choice is such a refreshing change of pace from the whirlwind of my life. Starting my day by focusing on myself and my health is so important to me. I'm always a lover of chic branding and packaging, and Smart Water's sleek bottle shape makes it the perfect accessory for any day bag, workout tote, or backpack. I absolutely love how the rounded bottle fits perfectly into my kids' side pockets for school or camp. Smart Water even looks chic displayed on any counter or vanity in my house. As most moms know, it can be tricky to get kids to drink enough water, but my boys absolutely love the taste of Smart Water, and the sports cup is great for their very, very active days. Smart Water is the smart way to hydrate no matter what you have going on in your life. Life is full of choices. Smart Water is a simple one. Visit drinksmartwater.com to learn more.
My dad works in B2B marketing, but I never really knew what that meant. Then one day my dad came by my school for career day and told everyone in my class he was a big MQL man. Then he just kept saying things like, the more MQLs, the better, over and over. My friends still laugh at me to this day. I think it means marketing qualified lead. One thing's for sure. I'll be known as the MQL man's kid for the rest of my days. Why couldn't you just be a fireman or a lawyer? Why? You ruined my life, Dad.
Not everyone gets B2B, but LinkedIn has the people who do. And with ads on LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people based on job title, industry, likelihood to buy, and more. Start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/customer to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/customer. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So, buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
When it comes to living life, there's a lot to overthink. Like most working moms, I am constantly juggling my work and my family life, and sometimes all that decision making is truly exhausting. But at least I don't ever have to overthink my water. I've been drinking Smart Water for many, many years and truly love its pure, crisp taste. It's vapor distilled through a process inspired by clouds and has added electrolytes for taste. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, every morning, is head down to my kitchen to drink water. Hydrating with Smart Water is my favorite way to start the day, and making that simple choice is such a refreshing change of pace from the whirlwind of my life. Starting my day by focusing on myself and my health is so important to me. I'm always a lover of chic branding and packaging, and Smart Water's sleek bottle shape makes it the perfect accessory for any day bag, workout tote, or backpack. I absolutely love how the rounded bottle fits perfectly into my kids' side pockets for school or camp. Smart Water even looks chic displayed on any counter or vanity in my house. As most moms know, it can be tricky to get kids to drink enough water, but my boys absolutely love the taste of Smart Water, and the sports cup is great for their very, very active days. Smart water is the smart way to hydrate no matter what you have going on in your life. Life is full of choices. Smart water is a simple one. Visit drinksmartwater.com to learn more. When it comes to living life, there's a lot to overthink. Like most working moms, I am constantly juggling my work and my family life, and sometimes all that decision making is truly exhausting. But at least I don't ever have to overthink my water. I've been drinking Smart Water for many, many years and truly love its pure, crisp taste. It's vapor distilled through a process inspired by clouds and has added electrolytes for taste. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, every morning, is head down to my kitchen to drink water. Hydrating with Smart Water is my favorite way to start the day, and making that simple choice is such a refreshing change of pace from the whirlwind of my life. Starting my day by focusing on myself and my health is so important to me. I'm always a lover of chic branding and packaging, and Smart Water's sleek bottle shape makes it the perfect accessory for any day bag, workout tote, or backpack. I absolutely love how the rounded bottle fits perfectly into my kids' side pockets for school or camp. Smart Water even looks chic displayed on any counter or vanity in my house. As most moms know, it can be tricky to get kids to drink enough water, but my boys absolutely love the taste of Smart Water, and the sports cup is great for their very, very active days. Smart Water is the smart way to hydrate no matter what you have going on in your life. Life is full of choices. Smart Water is a simple one. Visit drinksmartwater.com to learn more.
I didn't know if I was going to make it. I mean, I literally had multiple blood transfusions, had a staph infection and a blood clot. And it was like one thing after the other. And I mean, I literally thought, oh, this is how it's going to happen. I have this fabulous life. I'm ready to kind of live now on my own, for my own self and whatever. And now I'm going to die because of this. And I realized, no, if you are, you're going to go out really fighting as hard as you can. And the first thing you're going to do is learn how to walk. And it was that devastating sort of realization that I thought, there's so much more I'm going to do and so much more I have to do. And I went and I pitched Now What? You know, you read Michelle Obama's book.
Yeah.
She's got those moments. Yeah. And then you know, and every single person, they'll tell you, I didn't know how I was going to get through this. Yeah. And it's those moments that I find revealing about people and so inspiring. And so that's the podcast called Now What?
I think that that's incredible. And I think you're 100% right, because it's ironic that we've all had them and not everyone talks about those moments.
I think that those are the best. I mean, yes, there are mistakes and, you know, you're ashamed you didn't get into that college. And, you know, I'm in a business that is, you know, you said it.
It's about rejection.
You basically, it's all about rejection, and you get rejected. So, and I think that was interesting because we said this at my daughter's school. Mm-hmm. I said, you know, for every one thing that you get, you've gotten rejections 50 times. So it's, people only see the successes.
By the way, especially on social media, because that's not real, right?
Well, it was fine. I just was in Greece for Marie Claire, and you take the beautiful pictures of Santorini and the white and the thing, and then you just sort of pan right. And Santorini was beautiful. Everything was beautiful, but every single thing you pan to the right, and there's all this barbed wire and garbage, and you know. And I was like, oh, now if I post that sounds like I'm being I'm degrading the beauty, right? And yet everybody only sees the really perfect pictures.
That's exactly correct. That's exactly correct.
It's all there.
Before we go, I do like to always talk about, because I feel like as we climb to where we want to go, and we're both still climbing, right? Like, you never stop and go, oh my God, I've done it. Oh my God, I've done it. Because I get asked a lot.
Well, I think that's what people say, though, is that they think you get somewhere, and there's no there.
There's no
like,
there.
You just have to keep at it. And it's a hustle all the time.
All the time.
And sometimes you need to take your heels off, hit them and use them to come up like little pickaxes.
You're so right. and it's true. And you take the shoes and you use them as your equipment to get to the next place. And it's true. And I think something I always like to really talk about, and I have a feeling you've probably had quite a few. Have you ever had those moments where you go, I'm done. I am so done with this. I'm done. Like, I need to stop. I need to like quit what I'm doing now and like regroup, or I've had enough pain and rejection that I'm done. Like, and you don't even know what the next thing is, but you just go, I'm done. Have you had those moments?
I have had them. But I never let myself live in them for too long.
Right.
But I have to entertain that.
Totally.
Because I feel, you start feeling like the victim.
Yeah.
And I never felt sorry for myself.
Right.
That's not my approach. But I will say that so often people are gunning for me.
Yeah.
That I want to just explode, and say I've had enough of it. And I don't want rejection anymore because I don't need it.
Yep.
I don't need to learn a lesson. I don't need anything. It's like, and then I say, well, so really you're gonna
then you challenge yourself. Right. Exactly.
Right. That you're gonna so you're just gonna tuck your tail between your legs and just slink off. Fuck that. No. Then I'm like, I'm back at it again,
Right.
I'll show them.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the time that I think devastated me the most was when I handed in my obituary, but for my mom, the obituary I wrote, and I paid my $1,500 or whatever it was to have it in the New York Times, and that's what I grew up knowing people did, and they called me and said, we want to put it in a more prominent position, and I said, nah, you put it wherever you want, but I paid for it and I'm good, thank you. And they said, well, we don't want you to pay. I said, that's all right, I paid, thank you very much. Well, could we just talk to you? And I said, no, there's nothing to say. I don't have to talk to anybody about it. She's dead. Okay. Read the obituary and that's fine. They call me back and they're like, can you just clarify some, did she live in another city, or does she have, do she have any other siblings, or blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh my God. Yes, I answered those two questions. And they said, well, we want to put it on the front page. And I said, I don't care where you put it. Do whatever you do with it. That weekend on the Sunday cover of the section was nothing I had written. It was a scathing review of my mother's life. I was brought to my knees. I mean, I remember I was standing at the bottom of the steps and I just fell back on the steps and I just sat and just and I thought, is there no
justice,
decency?
Right.
Is there no, what is happening in the world? And I decided to write my book at that moment. I said, I'm going to write this book because they don't get to do that to me. They don't get to do that to me. And I did think that I was done, professionally for sure, because it all lumped in.
Yeah.
So, I think you have those moments, but you kind of have to allow yourself to indulge it and kind of wallow in it a little bit, because it's real.
Yes.
And it sucks. And, my daughters have seen it, they've seen me get rejected. They've seen me and they've seen me try, and then something doesn't work out. And, they see me, like the balloons at the Macy's Day Parade, kind of get back up and, let's get some more hot air in us and keep going.
But that, by the way, as a daughter, there's nothing better than seeing that in your mom, because it all counts. It all counts.
Yeah.
And they're amazing girls. And I think that your candor and I think that your humility is what keeps you going, quite honestly. Obviously, you're a warrior of another kind, but I think they've seen it all, physically and emotionally,
I think that it's important that they see
it is
that, because it's, it's going to pave the road differently for them. And sometimes I don't have the right things to say, but I might be doing something that they can witness.
Yes.
And I think that that's that is part of it, and it's not hiding anything from them either. It's trying to understand where they are, but also let them learn where they are. My older daughter saw me crying once. She was like 2, and I was in the car. I didn't think she saw me, and she said, "Mama, crying?" And I thought, oh God, what do I say? Do I say, no, I got something in my eye? Do I say,
tried that.
no, your instincts are wrong, or no, crying is bad, it's a sign of weakness. And, because anything you say is going to, they're going to go, oh, I guess you're not supposed to cry. All these things, right? So I thought, okay, what does she need to know? What does she need to know? I was like, she needs to know she's okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And she needs to know I'm still strong and I can still protect her and I can still take care of her.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, honey, I said, Mama just feels a little sad right now. I said, but I'm going to be fine. And I love you.
Yep.
And you're going to be fine.
Yep.
And she goes, huh, Mama crying. And I was like, that's it. That's all you give me.
But you're right. You're so right, because kids really just need to know they're safe. That's really it. That's the information they need.
It's like when the kid falls and I've seen moms run and they go, oh
Right,
my
of
God,
course.
my God. And I'm like,
You're fine.
if someone I loved came at me with a face like that, I would think the world was falling apart.
100.
I would think I was bleeding from the eyeballs, And so I was always like, hey, you all right? Good job. Well done. What a great fall. Do we have any blood? Is there any blood anywhere? No blood. All right. And then you like squeaky toy them and get them on to another topic. But
yeah, no,
honestly,
it's true. It's true. My last question for you would be, you've lived 100 lives. Do you ever go, okay, the dream is this? In 10 years from now, I have to be doing this. I don't feel like you're that person.
No, I don't like have tos because it
sets you up for failure.
But I definitely keep dreaming of things. I keep hoping and dreaming. And and it's like I have big ideas for Beginning Is Now. I can't wait. I'm going to do another television show. I'm going to keep at this. I'm going to produce more. I'm going, so it's like, but it's just, that's not where I am right this minute. You know what I mean? Right this minute, I'm in this phase where, you know what? Yeah, we're waiting for this other movie to be greenlit. It might not be, but maybe it will be. And I'm in the process of growing this business, right? So I don't sort of look too far in the future.
But you're living your dream theoretically.
But I'm you know what? I'm still reaching for my dream. I'm always just gonna, and every time I get to do even a little bit of it, it just buoys me and I get so excited. But I know that I have to keep acting and I have to keep doing comedy because it's like medicine to me. It's like blood in my veins. And no matter what else I do, whether I'm writing books or I'm doing everything else, it's usually I go to sleep at night and I can't wait for the next character I'm going to play, because that's so in my genes, so it's nice to know that I'm still here.
You're still here. You're still wanted very much by many people. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I literally could talk to you until Monday, but seriously, thank you. Congratulations on everything. I've loved you forever. I will love you forever.
Thank you. It's mutual.
Keep doing world domination. And also keeping the example for your girls, because we need the girls to have examples like you.
Well, and you always, you said that to me that day in the closet, you were just like, you should, do the things that can help you, make you feel good about yourself. And if it's in,
whatever
if it's
it
in
is.
your adornment, you know what I mean? I love adornment. I love jewelry and I love stuff. And it's just, and I'm not ashamed of it. And self-care is not selfish. And pampering myself is not just a luxury that, that I really I shouldn't, weaken myself to do that. No, all of it is so important in being the most that we can be. And I look to you for inspiration, and I thank you for that.
Right back at you. And I think we're just going to keep going. We're just going to keep doing it. We're just going to keep doing this.
Well,
right?
Now we have to think of something to do together.
I know. Well, I mean, we can do
that.
hundreds.
There should be some. We'll invent something.
I can't do comedy.
Thanks for having me.
I can't do comedy.
No. And I can't do fashion. So we'll be
so perfect.
We'll figure it out.
That's how we're gonna meet. I love you madly. Have the best day. Have a great week. And kiss those girls and say hi to Chris, okay? It's that time of the week where I answer your Ask Rachel questions. I love when you submit them, so keep them coming. The first one for this week is one that I've been asked over and over, but I'm here for it. Okay, what is your Dutch baby recipe that I see you making on Instagram? And I have to say, this is the greatest thing to make in your home because it looks like you're a professional chef, but you actually don't have to be. There is a little bit of like timing and heat and things like that. And sometimes it puffs really high and sometimes it really doesn't puff. But either way, it tastes delicious. And it's been a family favorite for as long as I can remember, honestly, since I was a kid. And it came from my Nana, my grandmother, and then my mom made it for me and my aunt. And then I started making them for my niece and nephew who are in their 20s now. And they used to call it breakfast pizza. And now my kids just live for it. They beg for it. And it's actually really simple. It's like 3 eggs, half a cup of flour, half a cup of milk, tablespoon of sugar. And you really like mix it all together really well. And then you pour it in a pan in some butter. As soon as it hits the pan, put your pan in the oven on, I think it's 425. And you cook it for like 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes more, sometimes less. You just got to watch it. Don't keep checking on it because the puff will deflate. And then you add powdered sugar, syrup. Sometimes they melt bananas in the syrup or apples. You can do it as you wish. You can even make it salty. But I believe that it is a recipe that originated long ago in the New York Times food section, and it's been a hit ever since. Okay, what's my hair care routine? What is your hair care routine and how often do you wash? Okay, I've had long hair my entire life, except when I was 13, I had a bob and I never did it again. But the answer is my hair's very low maintenance, truth be told. I don't wash it often. I've been very blessed to not have greasy hair. And I think because I don't exercise often, in full disclosure, I don't have to wash it all that often. It still is just very dry. I think because I have naturally wavy hair, it just kind of stays drier and less oily. But sometimes if I need a refresh, I use some great shampoo. I'm most recently completely obsessed with Olaplex shampoo, conditioner, the whole system, honestly, this leave-in cream conditioner. It's really been hair changing for me. I also love Jennifer Aniston's new hair care line, Lola V. I'm obsessed with it. It's really good. And it's not because I love Jennifer Aniston. I mean, I do, but like, I actually really love it. And I think we should trust her with hair. So I would say I wash it once or twice a week. I do brush it. I recently discovered hair brushes like over the last year or two. And I realized it really goes a long way when you brush your hair. It makes it look a lot cleaner. And I wave it with T3 hair tools. There's a wand that has changed my hair life, my hair game, that taught me over the pandemic how to actually kind of wave my own hair, which has taken me a lifetime to learn. But that's kind of the extent of my hair care. I use a little bit of hairspray to hold it, very light hairspray. I tend to use cleaner products. Since I got pregnant with Sky, I switched to much cleaner products. So yeah, that's kind of it. Very low maintenance on the hair front for lack of time, quite frankly. Okay, don't forget to submit your questions for next week's episode. All you have to do is DM us your questions to @ClimbingInHeelsPod on Instagram, and I might just answer your question. Brooke is honestly one of the most well-spoken, hardworking, most dedicated, humble, hilarious people that I know. I have just learned from that episode, from talking to her, as long as I've known her, I just realized she might be the original influencer from doing Ivory soap as a baby and obviously all of us buying Ivory soap, to modeling Calvin jeans, which I bought them the second I saw them on her. I literally told my mother I'd never ask for anything else if she bought those for me. And I mean, she really might be the original influencer. And, you know, when I think about sort of the young Brooke Shields and how I grew up knowing of Brooke Shields, I mean, she was by far the prettiest person I had ever seen or known of in my life. I actually didn't know it was humanly possible to be as beautiful as Brooke Shields. And she's still extraordinarily beautiful. And the fact that she said, I'm an icon, I think I'm supposed to be dead. I mean, there are so many things that she said in our conversation that I just took so much from it. And something I want to bring up is the common thread of so many women that I've been fortunate enough to have on this podcast were raised by single mothers. And I think I just want to say to the single mothers that listen, you know, my sister's a single mother, and I would just go down to say it's the hardest job out there, being a single parent. It doesn't matter if you have one, if you have three, if you have four. I think being a single parent is just really hard. But what I want to say is that as I meet so many incredible women in my life that were raised by single women, there's no doubt that what you do really rubs off on your children and those around you. And I think that the work ethic that they may really struggle with as children really does impact them, and I think make them respect, admire, and want to work and be dedicated to things in their life. And, you know, it just makes you kind of feel like it might be worth it sometimes if you ever question that in the moment. But I do want to say this was one of my favorite episodes, and Brooke is just extraordinary. So I hope you love this one as much as I do. Please check out Brooke's HBO Max movie called Holiday Harmony, and be sure to check out her new podcast, What Now with Brooke Shields. Thank you so much for listening to Climbing in Heels. And please don't forget to write a review wherever you get your podcast, because I love to read them. And while you're at it, follow me on @Rachel Zoe and @Climbing in Heels Pod on Instagram for more updates on upcoming guests, episodes, and all things Curator. I will talk to you next week. Mwah.
Does money stress you out? Let Facet flip your financial chaos into clarity.
We feel way more confident and secure in our finances. And with that comes a sense of freedom.
Financial planning from Facet is here to help you improve your life today, tomorrow, and every day after that.
Facet was really the place where we saw all of the tools and the people coming together.
Visit Facet.com, FACET.com to learn more. This ad is sponsored by Facet. Facet Wealth is an SEC registered investment advisor. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities, nor is it investment, legal, or tax advice. These testimonials are from current Facet members who are not compensated. All opinions are their own and not a guarantee of a similar outcome.